Welcome to Joy Recovery Radio. This is an educational podcast about betrayal trauma, deceptive sexuality, and the integrity work required when a relationship has been harmed by hidden sexual behavior. You might be here because you're trying to understand what happened in your relationship, or you might be here because you're trying to figure out what comes next. Either way, there's a place for you in this conversation. We talk about betrayal and recovery in a way that honors both what was lost and what might be rebuilt. You're invited to listen slowly, take what resonates, and leave the rest. Let's begin.
Hurricane Katrina came ashore more than 20 years ago. And if you visit New Orleans today, you'll find neighborhoods that came back better than they ever were. You could stand on some of those corners and you would never know that a flood occurred here. But I also understand that you can drive 10 minutes to the lower 9th Ward and still today pass boarded up houses and block after block of empty, overgrown lots where homes used to stand. That neighborhood of 15,000 people originally holds maybe a third of that today. If you remember right after that storm, the picture that everybody saw was the blue tarp. There are thousands of them. Blue tarps were stretched over broken roofs across the city, temporary covers over damage that was waiting for repair. Some of those roofs got rebuilt. Some of that damage, 2 decades later, is still sitting there. Same storm, same city, 20 years of rebuilding. And the recovery of that city is both real and incomplete at the same time. I think for us men, that is a map of our partner's inner world. There are parts of her that will rebuild, genuinely. Some parts of her will be stronger than before. And there are parts of her that still have blue tarp covering it. There are places in her where the damage that we caused is still raw. And no amount of your effort is going to fix it. That's what today's episode is about. Some of what we destroyed is not coming back, no matter what you do. And your next piece of work is learning to sit inside that truth without turning her grief into another project. This might be the heaviest episode we have ever made. We're going to talk about permanent loss. For the partners, some of this may land too close to the bone for you. And you have our full permission right now, at the very beginning, to stop this episode. Come back another day when you are stronger, or don't ever come back to this one. Nothing here is required of you. Your healing in no way depends on listening to me talk about grief. Partners do heal. Jacqueline and I have witnessed this. I've seen it in Jacqueline. Whole lives get built on the other side of this devastation. Sometimes with the relationship, sometimes without it. Healing is real. But restoration to what you had before, that's impossible. It's not happening. Today is about learning the difference and about what that difference demands of us men who cause the harm. Somewhere in recovery, a man discovers that fixing things feels better than feelings. His partner is in pain, and the pain is his doing. And sitting in the same room with that fact feels like it's unbearable for him. So he reaches for his toolbox. Another gesture, another conversation where he talks about his growth and his progress, another plan, another intensive, another book, another podcast, another weekend away that's hoping to turn the corner. All of those things are usually, for us men, an exit strategy. He's trying to get out of the room where her grief lives. Because we don't know how to sit inside of hard things. That's what the basement was all about. It was either escape or it was anesthesia. So, men, we have to decide, in response to our partner's grief, are we seeking repair for her or reassurance for us? The man who keeps asking what else he can fix is usually asking a hidden question underneath that. When does my discomfort end? That hidden question recenters the entire recovery on him and his comfort. Her grief becomes an obstacle to his timeline. Her pain becomes a performance review that he feels like he keeps failing. So what are we talking about when we say that some things cannot be repaired? The first and the largest loss for her is what Dr. Manwala calls her pre-existing reality. In the Manwala model, this describes discovery as a collision between the reality she was living in and the hidden one you built underneath it. And it describes what follows D-Day as a psychological death experience for her. The world that she understood herself to be living in, the marriage that she thought she had, the man that she thought you were and she knew, that reality, that world ended that day. She can build a new reality, and she will. But that old one, it never gets rebuilt. There's a second loss, and that is the years. The past does not just hurt. It gets rewritten for her. Anniversaries, vacations, the night one of the kids was born, Taco Tuesdays, all of it now carries a second track and meaning. What was actually happening? Where was he really? What did I not know while I was living inside of that memory? You cannot give her back an uncontaminated past. And there's no gesture that you can do that reaches backwards. Think about it this way. Imagine that every memory of your shared life is a marble. Kind of like in the movie Inside Out. Every memory is a marble, and each one of you carries your own container of them. 20 years of marriage, perhaps. Thousands of marbles. One marble is the wedding. One marble is the hospital the night your daughter was born. The trip that you saved 3 years for. And 1,000 ordinary evenings. Every shared moment dropped one marble into his container and one into hers. Here's what Discovery did. His container of marbles still looks nice. Beautiful, bright, full, gleaming. Not a lot of change. Because he was never deceived by her. He held the complete story the entire time. So nothing in his container ever had to be revised. When he looks back at the marriage, he's looking at those marbles, and that's why he can say that so much of it was good. But her container went dark. Every marble. All at the same time. Because Discovery did not just wound her present, it reached backward and touched everything she owned and remembered. The wedding marble is dark. The hospital where your daughter was born, dark. Every memory, every marble, tarnished by the question of what was actually true while she was living it. She didn't lose her memories, they're still there. She lost the light in them. And men, there's nothing you can do to those marbles. You can't polish them, you can't repaint them, you can't reach into her container and undo what your deception already did to them. Nor can you blame her or shame her for seeing the marbles the way she does. They're hers. They're permanent. And every attempt to talk her out of their darkness, every time you say, but remember how happy we were? You're basically standing over her container, arguing with what you yourself did to it. Not to mention you're still trying to control her reality, which is what the basement was. Now, I will say that container is still open. If she's still in the relationship, that is the one piece of hope in this metaphor. New marbles can be added to her container. Moments that are now built on truth and integrity, with nothing hidden underneath them, can go into that container, starting right now. And over years, they can accumulate into something that is real and meaningful, even beautiful. But we need to understand the conditions. New marbles go in one at a time. It's a very slow process. At the pace of lived, shared reality. She decides how bright they are. You never do. And understand there's no quantity of new marbles that will ever restore the old ones. If you're adding marbles in order to fix the dark ones, you've missed the entire teaching today. And she will feel that. She will feel the pressure attached to every new marble you drop in. Add them because truth is how you live now. And release the claim on what they earn for you.
Do you want to go deeper with teaching like what you're hearing today? That's why we created the Joy Recovery Academy. The Academy is our flagship educational space designed to help you make sense of betrayal trauma, integrity abuse, and what real recovery actually looks like. This is where clarity replaces confusion and where you finally get a map for your recovery for both the betrayer and the betrayed. The Academy includes live teaching with Q&A twice a week, and every live teaching is available anytime in our on-demand video library in case you can't make the live event. The Academy also features hundreds of the same tools and resources that we use with our private coaching clients. Right now, you can get the first 7 days free, so you can check it out and see if it is what you're looking for. Go to joy-recovery.com, click Academy, and join us today.
There's a third loss for her, and that is the story of her own life. This loss is both subtle but enormous. She made decisions inside a reality that you were falsifying. She chose you. She stayed with you. She relocated cities for you. She left jobs for you. She had children with you. She defended you to people who had doubts about you, all with information that you had corrupted. Part of what grieves for her is her own authorship of her story, of her life. The feeling that her life story was co-written by you and you were lying in every chapter. I could go on. There's more losses. Grief researchers have language for losses like these. They call them secondary losses. It's the cascade that follows the central loss. Losses like the health of her body through the years of stress and deception and trauma. the loss of friendships and relationships that she had, the loss of the version of herself that used to trust others pretty easily. And then there's something called disenfranchised grief. This is the grief that the world does not witness or honor or recognize because no one technically physically died, and the marriage may stay intact. So from the outside, everything looks fine in your life. She's mourning something that's invisible, and often she's mourning it all alone. Partners, the grief that you are carrying is proportionate. You're not dramatic, nor are you stuck. You're not grieving in the wrong way. Something real for you has died. The reality you lived in, the story you were told you were living, the past as you understood it, you're mourning all of that. That is a rational response to a very real psychological death. Even if no one brought casseroles, that doesn't make the real death you're experiencing any less. You may also be experiencing what is known as anticipatory grief. That is, you're carrying a grief that runs ahead of the facts. You may be grieving a future that may or may not happen. You may be bracing for endings that have not occurred yet. And you are allowed to mourn what might be lost while you're still deciding what you need to do with your life. You're still sad because the losses are real and some of them are permanent. And your grief does not run on his recovery timeline. Maybe he's changing, and maybe the change is genuine, but that change does not resurrect what you lost and what died. Let me add one more thing. I don't want to leave you inside this loss today. The word permanent belongs to specific things that were destroyed. It doesn't belong to you as a person. Your capacity for a life that feels like yours, the possibility of joy in your life, those are living things and they can be rebuilt. Back to the men. If some of the harms that you did cannot be repaired, then what exactly is your work? And I want to emphasize, it is work. And it is harder than the fix-it campaign that you've been on. Here's your work. It's called witness. Stay in the room, both physically and emotionally, while her grief is present. Don't set a timer on it. And don't you dare make it about your shame. When she is mourning the contaminated years, the work is to hear it fully and to reflect back to her that you heard it, without a single sentence that begins with the word but. You don't say, but I have changed. You don't say, but that was the old me. You don't say, but we've made so much progress. The word but in that moment is an exit, and your work is to stop using it. Notice what witnessing her pain requires from you that fixing her pain never did. Fixing let you stay in motion. It let you stay active. And motion is comfortable for most men. Witness asks you to be still, inside your own discomfort, while someone that you love is in pain that you caused, and you can't make it stop. Repair itself is good, and making amends is good. Rebuilding trust through years of proof, that's legitimate. But what poisons repair is the demand that's hidden inside of it. The pressure, the expectation that you put on her, that her grief will yield on schedule because you performed the work. For the men, the phrase, some things cannot be repaired must never leave your mouth pointed at her. You don't say to her, well, it can't be fixed, so why do you keep bringing it up? That becomes a reason to quit the work or a reason to rush her, a judgment that you're delivering on her healing. Every word of this episode today was aimed at your work, men, not hers. And the moment you quote this to your partner, you've converted grief work into pressure. And pressure built from recovery language is integrity abuse. Men, the next time her grief enters the room, stay. Don't fix, don't exit, don't pressure, stay. Witness it. Receive it. Be a container for her. And then do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next week, and the next month, and the next year. This is exactly what integrity requires. This is what healing feels like.
Thank you for listening to Joy Recovery Radio. If today's episode was helpful, you can find additional educational resources and information about the Joy Recovery Academy at joy-recovery.com. Remember, joy is possible when you